Hey, let's talk about something most men experience but few ever truly understand. It's that baffling moment when the woman who adored you yesterday looks at you today as if you're a complete stranger. It's a disconnect that drives men crazy, sending them down a spiral of questioning everything. Did her promises mean nothing? Was the love she showed just an act? Was it all a lie? The difficult truth is, in those moments of affection, she was likely sincere. Her love was real to her, but her world isn't built on the bedrock of permanence. It's a landscape shaped by the constant currents of emotion. And when her feelings change, her entire reality shifts along with them. This is the primary reason so many good men get blindsided. They operate in a world governed by logic, consistency, and facts, while many women navigate a reality defined by emotion, perception, and narrative. They don't always see the world as it is. They see the world as it feels. And that single difference is the source of endless confusion. To navigate this, you have to grasp a fundamental concept. Women often live in a world that, to a man, doesn't seem to exist, because their emotions construct a reality that isn't always anchored to objective fact. When she feels cherished and secure, you are her hero, her future, her everything. But when she feels overlooked or uninspired, you can become the villain in her story overnight. When she feels radiant, she sees you as the king, who gives her that strength. When she feels insecure, she might accuse you of not finding her attractive, even if you complimented her just hours before. To her, these feelings aren't just fleeting moods, they are the absolute truth of that moment. This is precisely why trying to reason with her during an emotional peak is often a losing battle. You can present spreadsheets of evidence, text message screenshots, a timeline of your consistent actions, but it will bounce right off. Her truth isn't documented in facts and figures. It's written in the language of her heart. Trying to argue with feelings using logic is like trying to debate the wind or shout down a thunderstorm. It's an exercise in futility. This dynamic is why countless men walk away from relationships feeling utterly exhausted and questioning their own sanity. One day she's mapping out your future, claiming she's never felt a connection so deep. The next, she's cold, withdrawn, and insists you've changed. You desperately try to follow the logic, but there is no consistent thread. You cling to her words, but her words were products of a feeling that has since passed. Before you know it, you're not just confused. You're starting to doubt yourself. You think, maybe I am the problem. Maybe I'm not enough. Maybe I'm incapable of making someone happy. But the reality, my friend, is that you're not broken. You're just trying to find solid ground in a world that is constantly in flux. You're trying to exist in her reality, a place that wasn't built for you. Women often fall in love not with the man standing before them, but with the story they've woven around him. At the start of a relationship, you're cast as the perfect protagonist, not because you are flawless, but because she projects her deepest desires and ideals onto you. She envisions the life you will build, the emotions you will consistently provide, and the grand narrative you will live out together. But when the dust of fantasy settles and the raw, unfiltered light of reality shines through, when she sees your imperfections, experiences a moment of boredom, or realizes you are simply a human being, the illusion shatters. And who gets the blame? Not her idealized projection, but you. She concludes that you deceived her, that you changed, when in truth, you were the same person all along. The only thing that truly changed was her emotional narrative about you. And because her world is built on that narrative, when it breaks, her impulse is to leave and start a new story. This emotional framework explains why women can hold seemingly contradictory desires that make no sense to the logical male mind. She might say she wants a strong leader who also lets her take the lead, or that she needs a provider but insists money isn't important, or that she craves a powerful man who is also comfortably vulnerable. These aren't necessarily lies or attempts to be difficult. They are emotionally coherent statements in the moment she feels them. She isn't seeking logical consistency. She's pursuing a spectrum of emotional highs, and the second those feelings fade, her script changes. That's how she can promise her undying love on Tuesday and walk away without a second glance on Friday. In her world, the truth simply changed. If you don't understand this mechanism, you will spend your life seeking stability in an inherently unstable environment. This phenomenon is amplified to an extreme degree by the world of social media. Every day, women are inundated with curated images of flawless relationships, hyper-romantic gestures, and lifestyles of effortless perfection. When she scrolls through this digital highlight reel and then looks at her own life, her reality can suddenly feel lacking. You might be a loyal, dedicated, and loving partner, but your quiet consistency can't compete with the dopamine rush of 1,000 online fantasies. Because she lives in the world of feelings, she starts to believe that those illusions are not just possible, but what she is entitled to. So instead of finding gratitude for the real man by her side, she begins to feel resentment for him not living up to a fantasy that was never real to begin with. You find yourself in a battle against an invisible enemy, her imagination, fueled by an endless stream of digital mirages. So what is the path forward for a man? The first step is as simple as it is difficult. You must stop giving her words more weight than her actions. In her emotional world, words are abundant and cheap. She can promise you the world, declare her undying loyalty, and weep about how much you mean to her. But those words are often just a snapshot of a fleeting emotional state. If you treat them as unbreakable vows, you are setting yourself up for devastation when her actions tell a different story. The only truth you can rely on is the consistency of what she does. If her actions consistently demonstrate respect, loyalty, and partnership, then you can trust that she is anchored in your shared reality. But if her actions create chaos while her words promise peace, you must trust the actions. Don't argue, don't negotiate, and don't chase. Simply accept what is real. The second step is to build and enforce firm boundaries. Women are biologically wired to test a man's strength, not out of malice, but out of an instinctual need to know if he is a stable force. They push against your frame to see if it will hold, to see if you will abandon your principles to please them. The men who fold, who tolerate disrespect, who ignore blatant red flags in the name of keeping the peace, they become slaves to her emotional whims. But the man who calmly and confidently enforces his standards, who can say, "I value you, but this is what I will and will not accept," that man creates a stable reality. She might protest against it, she may even resent it at first, but deep down, that stability is what makes her feel safe. Your boundaries prove that you live in the real world, not in her fantasy. Finally, the most powerful tool in your arsenal is a healthy sense of detachment. Detachment is not about being cold or uncaring. It's about emotional self-mastery. It means you can love her deeply, but you do not allow her shifting moods to define your self-worth. It means that when she pulls away into her emotional world, you don't panic and chase after her. You give her space and remain centered. When she tests you, you don't react with anger. You respond with calm strength. Detachment is what keeps you anchored in your own reality while she navigates hers. And paradoxically, this is what often draws her closer. Women are subconsciously drawn to the man they cannot emotionally destabilize. Detachment is not coldness. It is control over your own inner world. And that control is what will keep you free. Ultimately, you have to realize that you cannot save a woman from her own illusions. Some are too addicted to the fantasy, too consumed by the chase for the next emotional high. They will drift from one man to the next, seeking a spark, and then blaming the man when the fire inevitably dies down. If you try to be the hero in that story, you will drown with her. Sometimes, the strongest and most loving thing you can do for both of you is to let her go. Not with anger, but with clarity. Because you were not put on this earth to live in someone else's dream. You were put here to build your own reality. When you stop trying to make sense of her world and focus on building your own, everything changes. Her moods no longer shake you. Her validation is no longer the source of your confidence. Her presence becomes a wonderful addition to your life, not the center of it. You have your mission, your purpose, and your principles. That is the definition of true power. Not the power to control her, but the strength to lead yourself so completely that no illusion can pull you from your path. A man who cannot be broken becomes a point of reference for what is real. And in a world full of fantasy, the man who embodies reality is the one who ultimately commands respect and finds peace. Her world may be a beautiful, chaotic illusion, but yours is the one that will last.